what we'll first do is we'll take subject-wise doubts for each of these students who already sent across the doubts. And then we will go on to asking questions or your doubts over here in the live session. Works? You all can give me reaction through the emojis that are there below. So let's start with, since I have the question bank, I have seen most of the questions are for CA final students, only for CA final subjects. And there is one student who is here for an inter attempt. So we'll take your doubts also, but towards the end of the session. Clear? So in CA final, we've got doubts. So let's go towards the first subject where we've got doubts, that is FR. I'll call out the name of the student who has posted the doubt. In case he's there, they can just turn on their particular video and then I will solve their doubt. So there's a doubt from Barkha for FR which says that I have doubts in practice questions of FR. What doubt in the practice question? This is a very vague doubt basically, that I have doubts in practice questions of FR. So what is your doubt? You just send that across and we'll get it solved. We'll move to the next doubt, which is from Kumkum Maheshwari. Is Kumkum over here or she's also not joined in? Her doubt was want to understand the exemption disclosures for government companies. But what exemption disclosure? Exactly. These questions are a bit too vague that I'm now getting. So let's move to the third question, which I feel normally all students have this as an issue. Is Deepak over here in the call? Deepak Kalnawat? Even though he's not there, his doubt is a valid doubt that I always feel that I know this question, but when I start solving, I'm suddenly getting stuck. How many of the students who are present here also feel this particular thing? That when they start solving, they know the question, but when they actually write it down or when they are in the middle of the sum, they get stuck. You all can show me by way of reaction or hands or emojis. How many of you all go through this? How many of you all don't go through this? Or through messages? Dinesh feels so. So what do you do in such a particular case? Dinesh, if you want, you can unmute your mic.
So I just forgot and then I left the question and moved to the next one.
Okay, but then you eventually come back to that question, right? Because you know that you've known this question, but
Yes, sir.
at the current point in time, you're not able to recollect, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
in such a case, that is what even I would suggest, that if you're getting stuck somewhere, don't end up wasting time trying to recollect what you've stuck yourself on. Move to the next question, and then eventually, when there is time left at the end, come back to that question and try solving it again. Because if
Yes,
you
sir.
invest your time at that point in time to do that question, then that will eat up extra time. Plus, you will not be able to finish your paper. So better to move ahead, solve other questions that you know, and then come back to this particular question, if time permits. Okay?
Okay. Okay, sir.
There is a question by Saloni Jain, which again is a very open-ended question. Where to start? How many of you all even feel like this? Where do I start the subject from? Anyone has such a doubt in the last 1 month? Where do I start the subject from? I see Rishika. Rishika, you can unmute yourself and then you can explain what you normally feel when you are panicking in such a situation.
So it is generally when if I start with FR, then I start feeling that randomly I'll feel ki AFM ka valuations ka ye somebody would be discussing and I would feel that I don't know that particular sum or that particular concept. So धीरे धीरे while doing FR maybe दूसरे subjects का tension comes.
But isn't that natural?
Correct. Natural. Correct.
It is a natural phenomenon. So what you can do over here at this point in time is you can ignore what people are saying. that you will get stuck. Some people you will hear will be discussing something or the other. Maybe something that you've studied also. But at that point in time, you'll feel like you don't know. Do not stress about it, because the impact of that will come on the other subject which you are currently studying. What I would suggest is to just give a year to it, mark it down. You identified that this is the area where you got stuck. So then, just when you finish the particular subject or chapter, go back to those particular questions which you marked, which you didn't know from other subjects, which you heard your friends talking about or something like that, and again glance through it, because here there is too much of information in the course which you have to remember. So the only success point that you can have is to keep continuously revising whatever you all are doing. It is natural that you will forget in between to revise previous subjects, but still make an effort to at least revise the subject after every 4 to 5 days, so that the more you revise, the more it gets registered in your conscious memory as well as in the unconscious memory. So when it gets retained, you'll eventually be able to recollect it. Clear? There is a question by Shivanand Gokak. I have filled my May 25 form, but being a working professional, I failed. Can I appear for September 25 Group 1? Have you completed your articleship and finished your ACITSS as well as the SPOMs, which you would have to eventually do if you were in May 25? The conditions of May 25 itself will apply to September 25. Clear? So you can appear in September 25 attempt. It is not a problem. Next question is by Dinesh Aswami. He is asking that in questions of Ind AS 103 and 110, is writing the theory part important, or it has to be directly solved by, and balance sheet should be directly given? See, it depends on what is the nature of the question. If it's like a full-fledged balance sheet question, you need not write any introduction or something from Ind AS 103 or 110. But if it's like a smaller question which requires an introduction part, it is always better to write on a small introduction of what is happening in the question, so that you can give the examiner a clear understanding of this is what I've understood and this is what I'm going to do ahead in the question. Clear? Next is a question by Dinesh Kumar. I am starting my preparations for CA finals from today with FR and EFM. Advise me the basic mindset and which order I should go. Should I go with the institute's book order? How often should I revise? Shall I write the chapter-wise test at the end of a chapter? Which shall be the effective way of learning? The first effective way for learning is to first finish reading all the 3 subjects that you have. Because in 1 month's time, not even 1 month's time, now you only have just 25 days. In that you have to finish your audit, AFM as well as FR. So in that particular order, if you're going to finish, first keep your focus primarily on finishing the subjects. After that, do test series. And once you are in every 3 to 4 days, revise what you are doing after 3 to 4 days. From day 1 to day 3, revise it on day 4 and then do day 4 ka work also. So that you will keep retaining whatever you have revised, otherwise everything will go for a toss. So the only strategy I would suggest is to do all the chapters as per the module, but the flow of chapters as per the module, because that is a sufficiently good format to follow, because the flow is properly given over there. Once you are done with that flow, start doing each chapters with each subject not more than 6 days. You don't have more than 6 days to do a subject if you are even planning to write test series. So finish each subject in 6 days. Normally put a gap of 3 days. At the end of the 3rd day, finish half of the subject and then revise it on the 4th day. Then do the other half of the subject, revise it on the 4th day. So basically you're giving 8 days per subject with a gap of 3, 1, 3, 1. Otherwise, you'll not be able to collaborate your entire subject in the last 1.5 days, and then you'll feel haywire. So follow this particular process and then do all the 3 subjects. I know in FR you will not be able to give time, but you will anyways have to manage it within a period of 3 days. You may have to give 14 to 15 hours of study time in a particular day. And when I say 14 to 15 hours of study time, I mean effective study time, not sitting study time. So if it is effective study time, you might have to sit for 16 to 17 hours. So as to have a 14-hour retention. Clear? Anyone out of the
Yes, sir.
students over here who has doubt in FR? Yes, you were saying something.
Sir, I'm attempting May 26, sir.
Okay.
May
You have
26
ample
exactly.
time there.
Yes, sir.
So you can adopt a strategy where you're studying, revising, studying, revising, studying, revising. You have to give ample tests also to get writing practice. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Any student who has a doubt in FR now, or should we move to the second subject? I assume silence is acceptance, so no one has doubts in FR. Moving to AFM doubts. Is Kumkum Maheshwari over here? I don't think so. She's over here. Her doubt was how to ascertain the number of future contracts required to hedge the position. It's based on a very simple formula, equivalent exposure upon lot size. Clear? And over here, we normally say, don't just keep your lot size, multiply it by the value of each future security in the portfolio. Didn't understand? If I have to just explain it roughly, if your exposure is $1 lakh, you are getting dollar futures in the market. Each lot has 50 futures, 50 shares or 50 units. And the price of each unit is $100. So what will be the number of futures that you'll take? It will be $1 lakh, which is your exposure, upon 50 shares per futures into $100 per share. So it will be 1,000 upon 5,000, which I think is 20 futures. So you will enter a contract position of 20 futures. Clear? Now we have the next question by Mukesh Sharma. Is Mukesh on the call? His question is how to solve long questions in a short period of time. Time management. You will have 1.5 minutes effectively per mark. So if it's a 6-marker question, your question has to be done in 9 minutes. You have to learn to manage to do that particular ratio, 1.5 minutes per mark, because then you will have 30 minutes left to effectively read your MCQ questions and then solve them also. If you do a ratio of 1.8 minutes per mark, then you will not be left with enough time to read your MCQs and solve those MCQ questions. So your target should ideally be 1.5 minutes per mark. If in 9 minutes the question does not get over, leave the question then and there, move to the next question. That is the only strategy which can be adopted to solve long questions in a time-bound manner. How to retain difficult formula for long period? How do you retain those formula? By practicing and writing them down every alternate day or once in every 4 days, so that it stays at the back of your mind and then you can revise it. If possible, try to make a formula sheet chapter wise, knowing that derivatives has XYZ formulae, portfolio has XYZ formulae, mergers has XYZ formulae. So make a list of all the formulae, make a formula sheet and keep going through it every day for say like 15 minutes, so that you don't forget what else formulas are given in the subject. Clear? Now there is another question by Ananya, who is asking how to effectively do 1.5 days preparation before exam and not to lose confidence while solving practical questions. Simple strategy over here is to do all the questions which you have marked as LDR when you are doing your first study. You have to do all those questions in the 1.5 day before the exam, because those would have ideally been questions where you would have had doubts, or those would have been questions which could have either covered your entire a big chunk of your chapter. So you will have to do those questions in that point in time. Another advantage that you can do over here is simply just make a list of chapters where you're getting stuck. If it is a question which you know, just glance through it. If it is a question where you are getting stuck, try to solve it in the 1.5 days time, because it's very probable that if you were stuck when you were initially studying it, you might get stuck when you are again studying it. And if you don't solve it again, then there is a risk that comes that you might even, if it comes in the exam, get stuck while solving that question. So in such questions, it is always better to solve it once before the exam. But again, you have to do it in a time bound manner. You don't have entire time. So keep your time management skills at place over there. Clear? How to understand the formula of standard deviation to test the weak form of market efficiency. You have to just learn that formula. It is nothing but, if I'm not wrong, 2n1n2 into 2n1n2 minus n1 minus n2 upon n1 plus n2 the whole square upon n1 plus n2 minus 1. How many of you all remember this formula in the first place? Or you all are like, what is this Greek and Latin that I'm speaking? Does anyone remember this formula? Rishika is saying no. Anyone else? Ruchita remembers this formula or doesn't remember this formula?
So I do remember.
Okay. How did you remember this formula?
I actually used a trick, as in this is like 2n1 n2 into, you multiply the same thing and then you subtract n1 n2 and then you use it same for the denominator. So it is n1 n2 minus किया है तो नीचे वापस add कर दो, square कर दो. I've remembered it like that.
So basically you've done your own jugaad and remembered it.
Yes, yes.
That's the only way to remember a formula like this, because you can't remember it normally. Only one thing I can tell you is n1 plus n2 minus 1 means nothing but degrees of freedom. So this degrees of freedom you have to remember to pick up from your t-score which is given in the question. So you can remember it in that way, that n1 plus n2 minus 1 is nothing but my t-score of degrees of freedom. So I have to pick up degrees of freedom over here. So supposing it's 20 days, I'll have 18 degrees of freedom. So denominator में 18 आना चाहिए. That is the only one thing in which you can remember this particular formula, where you will make a mistake, because many students will take it as 20 over here. So to avoid that mistake, this is the only one thing which you can remember. Baki other things you'll have to still remember this formula. There is no way out of not remembering this formula. Clear? Anyone has any other doubts in AFM? Or should I move to the next subject? No doubts? Should I assume no doubts in AFM? Now I'll go to audit doubts. There's a doubt by Rehana which says that I do revise audit and writing practice also, but it still feels like I remember nothing. My main issue is with audit memorization and not with concepts. How many of you all even face the same issue? That you know the concept, but you're not able to retain it, or you're not able to write it properly in the paper. Rishika, how do you get past this particular problem? What strategy do you adopt, Rishika?
Sir, actually, I'm still struggling with it. So I have the same concern.
So basically what you can do over here is you can just simply remember your standard numbers, what the standard is saying, and the clause numbers. If it's a SA or professional ethics question, you just need to know the crux of what is being said over here. Rest, you can write it in your own words up and down. You only have to use the technical words or the technical verbatums, like applicable FRF. I am writing short forms over here, but you will have to write the full form, like sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, applicable financial reporting framework, compliance with applicable laws and regulations, which the entity is bound to, those charged with governance, management, XYZ. So all those technical words you have to write. Rest, you can write it in your own words, which is giving the same logical sense as the standard. Clear? Only one thing, if you don't know the SAR number, or if you're unsure of the SAR number, or if you are sure of the SAR number but unsure of the SAR name, do not write it. You will get a complete 0 in case it goes wrong. So don't make such mistakes. Clear? Rishika, is this a bit clear of how to remember?
Yes,
Not
yes,
remembering the entire answer, but at least the gist of what each question is asking. So you can eventually end it, at least write it in your own words. Clear?
Right, sir. Yes.
Next is a doubt by Chetna. Feeling like nothing to remembering. Same strategy. Everyone will feel that because it's more like theory. Just remember the gist and then write down that particular answer in your own words without compromising with the technical words that are used by that particular standard. Clear? Now there is one technical doubt by Raja Shekhar, whether a listed company auditor can resign before the time limit as per SEBI LODR regulations. How many of you all have studied the SEBI LODR regulations? By show of hands. Anyone has studied SEBI LODR? Does anyone remember it comes under which subject? Why is everyone silent on a Sunday morning?
I think in law we had studied for SPO.
Correct, but this question is about whether the auditor of a listed company can resign. So can this come in audit also as a question? Maybe yes. It can come in your audit paper. It can even come in your paper 6 IBS. So how many of you all know the answer to this particular question? I don't think anyone knows. So just to give you all a brief summary, an auditor, even under SEBI LODR regulations, can resign from his appointment as auditor, but he will have to give us detailed submission of responses to the management of why he wants to resign, and the company who gets the resignation has to within 24 hours file that with the stock exchanges that the auditor is resigning, and these are his detailed submissions which has to go public to the users in the public domain. If supposing that particular auditor has done a quarterly review, Q1 review he has done, and he wants to resign during Q2, then he simply has to give in his Q2 report a statement that this particular review is just based on limited assurance. I do not give reasonable assurance. And also give this detailed list of responses of why he is resigning from this particular audit. Samjha? Did anyone get any insight about this new question which came as a doubt from one of your own peers? And now, moving to the next doubt by Mr. Mukesh Kumar. How do we improve writing speed and how to learn the theory content as book content as much as possible? Just by remembering and trying to revise in every 2 or 3 days just the words of what is there in each particular question, so that it doesn't go out from your muscle memory and then you are able to write it effectively when the paper comes. And how to improve time speed is just by time management. 1.5 minutes per mark. If it's a 4-mark question, you should not be writing it for more than 6 minutes. If it takes more than 6 minutes, leave the question there, go to the next question when time is left at the end, come back. But don't go in the, what you say, bhavnaon mein beh mat jana, and don't just write that answer in such a way that you end up missing 3 answers in the later part of the question paper, which then you'll eventually regret when you come home. Clear? Anyone has any other doubts with audit, or should we move ahead to the next subject? I rather have one other suggestion for all the students who are over here. Can you all come on video one by one and then we solve each of your doubts rather than solving doubts of primarily people who are not present over here? And then we at the end will take up their doubts. Does it make sense? You all can say yes or no by show of hands or by reaction to emojis. So Aman, can you unmute yourself and come up with all your doubts that you have, and then Rishika will follow suit?
हेलो सर, नमस्ते.
Namaste. You can just, what do you say, turn your video on so I can see you.
यस सर. सर ये पूछना था कि सर वो डायरेक्ट टैक्स में सर मैंने डाउट उसमें लिखा भी है अपना, जो डाउट वाला था डीटी वाले डाउट में.
Correct.
तो सर
Consistently getting low marks in DT, what should be the approach for the last 30 days regarding DT, where to focus on question or on concepts? Both.
यस सर.
There are some important chapters which you have to do, like total income, which is nothing but your 5 heads of income plus deductions.
यस सर.
You will have to do TDS advanced tax. You will have to do tonnage taxation because there was an amendment recently. So that is highly testable in your question paper. Then you will have to do NR taxation and TDS rates that come in NR taxation over there. Then double taxation avoidance agreements and transfer pricing. And lastly, assessment proceedings. तुम इसके अलावा पेपर में जा नहीं सकते. This is bare minimum to be done if you are aiming even for a 50.
यस सर.
So in case you will have to remember the concepts and the sections first, and then you have to do the question bank, because that is the only way in which you will be able to clear these particular subject, because it is a very big subject. It is the biggest of all the 6 subjects that are there. तो तुमको वही करना पड़ेगा. कंसेप्ट पढ़ो, प्रोविजन पढ़ो, एंड देन इवेंचुअली उसके सम्स भी एक बार ग्लांस करने पड़ेंगे. तुम वापस you'll end up in the same situation where you are getting stuck, because when you are reading the questions you will get an idea of how ICI is giving the answer to those questions, and as much as possible try to at least keep the crux of the answer same as ICI or the section references, or write it in a similar way. I'm not saying match it English to English with ICI, but the technical words, technical sections, technical terms like reason to believe, ये सब वर्ड टेक्स्ट में दिए हुए, so you'll have to write those down at least. Clear?
यस सर. यस सर. यस.
Your any other doubts in other subjects?
सर वो आईबीएस का भी मैंने पूछा था.
Okay.
आईबीएस में सर.
ओपन करता हूँ.
यस.
अमन. Not able to prepare for CA final IBS. I have yesterday given 70% test but not able to complete the paper, facing very difficulty regarding this. Request you to please give me proper guidance regarding this subject. I have completed DT, IDT, audit concept notes and law concept notes. So basically you will have to make a summary of FR and AFM. Whatever author you were most relying when you gave your group 1, उन्हीं के book से पढ़ो and take those books only for the examination, because that is where you will find the answer.
सर हमारा ग्रुप 1 निकल गया है, फर्स्ट सेकंड ग्रुप बचा हुआ है.
करेक्ट, बट आपने ग्रुप 1 के लिए पहले जब पढ़ाई की थी तो आपके पास वो बुक
सर
अभी भी होंगी.
मैंने ओल्ड कोर्स में मैंने किया था 2022 में, नवंबर 2022 में.
So then the only solution to this is कि in the, what do you say, on Telegram you can take any author's book which is like a compiler of all the last questions for FR and AFM and take that book for your exam. बट एक बार वो बुक को ग्लांस कर लेना कि कौन सा चैप्टर कहाँ पर है, ताकि एग्जाम में व्हेन यू सी अ सिमिलर क्वेश्चन यू एटलीस्ट नो कि हाँ ये म्यूचुअल फंड्स का क्वेश्चन है तो मुझे म्यूचुअल फंड्स में ढूंढना है, ये इंडेक्स 116 का क्वेश्चन है तो मुझे 116 में जाके ढूंढना है. टू जस्ट गेट दैट आइडिया, अदरवाइज यू विल एंड अप गेटिंग पैनिकी दैट ये कौन से स्टैंडर्ड या कौन से चैप्टर का ही क्वेश्चन. तो इसके लिए इन 1 or 2 days बिफोर द एग्जाम जस्ट ग्लांस थ्रू किए कहाँ कहाँ के क्वेश्चन है और इस चैप्टर में क्या क्या है, so that at the end you are not in a panic situation. Clear? And this time if I'm not wrong, IBS has 2 days of holidays.
Yes sir, yes sir.
So you can use it effectively वैसे by planning कि कौन सा सब्जेक्ट में क्या है, कौन से चैप्टर में क्या है और कौन सी बुक में से तुमको क्या देखना है.
Yes sir, जैसे IBS में FR SFM पास, जैसे कल हम टेस्ट दे रहे थे प्रेप सीए का ही 70% का, तो उसमें से मेजर पार्ट FR SFM का ही था, तो वो सब नहीं हो पा रहा था. उसमें न्यूमेरिकल पार्ट बहुत ज्यादा था, तो वही
normally happen in IPS. ICI knows कि बहुत सारे सिर्फ ग्रुप 2 वाले स्टूडेंट्स है, ग्रुप 1 वाले नहीं है. They will put questions of group 1 also. What I have understood of ICI is there are 5 questions, right? 5 case study होती है, 25 मार्क की, attempt any 4. Out of which, if I'm not wrong, आपका 10 मार्क MCQ होता है और 15 मार्क theory होता है. 10-15 MCQ and descriptive, correct? So what they will ideally do is they will try to keep each subject blended to 25 marks. वो हर सब्जेक्ट पूछेंगे, FR, SFM, audit, DT, IDT, खाली घुमा घुमा के पूछेंगे. Maybe in this question they'll ask 5 marks of FR. In question 4 they'll ask again 5 marks of FR. Question 5 में 10 mark का FR पूछ लेंगे, यहाँ पर 5 mark का पूछेंगे. They'll try to keep that balance on an average, but they'll spread it across different case studies, so you don't have any option but to do these subjects. But तुम्हारे पास एक और चैलेंज आ जाता है कि हम बुक से क्योंकि देख रहे हैं, we'll want to write everything. ऐसा नहीं करना है, जो भी relevant है उतना ही लिखना है. Whatever is a relevant calculation that is as उतना लिखना है. You don't have to write all the भाषण that is there which is irrelevant for the answer, but फिर भी मॉड्यूल में. तो वैसा मिस्टेक नहीं करना है, then you'll be able to at least finish it in time. समझा अमन?
Yes, sir.
Any other doubt or should we move to Rishika now?
और कोई डाउट तो सर नहीं है अभी.
चलो, all the best.
Thank
Now
you.
Rishika, if you have your doubts, you can unmute yourself and then ask those doubts.
Sir, I don't have any specific subject related doubt.
Okay.
I have started Prepca right now, and आज ही मेरा first session हुआ for the first session with my mentor, and
Okay.
now she assigned me 230% tests, audit and FR. So I'm supposed
Okay.
to manage that. So, and my tests are supposed to be done by 28th, 29th, submitted by 28th, 29th of April.
Okay.
So I just wanted to understand that how should I go about it, since I'm doing FR, the major subjects such as assets. I'm doing about
Correct.
18 to 19 indices, I think. So I just wanted to understand कि वो मैं audit के साथ कैसे balance करूँ.
Audit, if you do on a daily basis for a longer time, you will reach a saturation point. So just do audit 3 to 4 hours in the day and balance your other half of the day, like 7 to 8 hours between FR and AFM as a blend.
Okay.
3 घंटे से ज्यादा ऑडिट दिन में नहीं होगा. अगर बैठ भी जाओगे ना, you'll not be able to retain it much.
Okay, ठीक है.
Are you giving both groups or are you giving only one group at this time?
Both groups.
And is your DT, IDT and IBS padhai done or that is also pending?
DT is done, IDT half is pending, but now we have come to the conclusion कि हम पहले group one अच्छे से कर लेते हैं.
Correct.
So that is why we're focusing on FR
And
and audit.
IBS is anyways like, it's like a do or die. You have to anyways go with the book, so that would not be much of a pressure point.
Correct.
At least you're carrying the book, so you'll find out some jugaad or the other and at least find out something. You'll be able to write.
Right, sir. Yes.
So
So
what I would
for
suggest
FR,
is,
yes.
for FR, how many hours in a day do you study? When I say study, I mean effective study, not sitting hours of study.
Right now, so my actorship is going. So morning I get 2 hours and sham ko I get 3 hours.
Okay, and your attempt is in May 25.
No, Jan 26.
Jan 20. Then you have ample time. You can do FR 2 hours a day in your first half of the day. When you come back from office, you can do AFM, which is 2 hours.
FR and audit right now. We have FR and
Okay,
audit.
AFM is done or AFM is pending?
AFM, matlab, I have revised it. I have revised FR once. AFM revision is
Okay, so
pending.
it's basically not a situation where you're studying it for the first time. You have studied it earlier, but you just want revision now of the
But
subject.
it isn't that I'm not that confident, even though I've gone through my faculty's questions and I've solved it once. I'm not clear with it. So Abhi, since I'm preparing for 30% for FR right now, how should I go about it? Which should I see my faculty's books again, or
Yes, because what will happen is solving questions will be the only thing which will help you go ahead in FR, because eventually kya hoga, even if you know all concepts, at the end you'll feel like you're not remembering anything. You're not able to write it. You're getting stuck in between when you're writing it. So my suggestion would be, since you have time till Jan 26, to solve FR questions also. Maybe not all questions of the chapter, but at least 50% of each chapter, so that you at least have an idea of what is happening and how you are going about solving the question. Like in most faculties books, you'll even get master questions for like consolidation, business combination, financial instrument. where in that 1 or 2 questions they would have tried to cover each and every adjustment. So
Correct.
try doing those questions so that you'll know where you stand, in which adjustment you're getting stuck, and then how you'll tackle that particular adjustment. So you'll mark it basically कि मैं ये adjustment में अटकी थी. So you'll then practice it and then eventually be able to solve it. That is the only way you should go forward, because in a practical paper like FR, which comes as the lengthiest paper, time will be a very big challenge. So अभी से practice करोगे ना, so then you'll be able to easily manage it within a period of, what do we say, 3 hours in your final examination. So वो writing practice रखो. And for audit, like I said, try to remember the technical words of each standard. And उसके आगे पीछे का grammar में we all are champion. So that is not a problem. But जो technical terminology है for a particular standard, उसको थोड़ा याद करके try to replicate it. Since you have time, you can even make a list of SAR 200 has what technical words. SAR 240 has what technical words. You can just make a list of the words so that you can just keep revising it like once in every 5 days and going through that sheet. So you will have an idea कि हाँ ये technical words है, so then you'll at least be a bit rest assured. And simultaneously DT, IDT, so you'll anyways keep studying because Jan tak exam.
ठीक है, got it. Yes, thank you.
No problem. Anyone has any other doubts? Out of the people who are present over here, Aman ke doubts ho gaye. Ruchit, yes, Ruchita, you can unmute yourself and ask your doubts.
Sir, I'm currently studying audit and I'm done with AFM and FR. I'll be done with audit by like 15th. So for the remaining 15 days, how do I allocate my subjects for revision? I have my May 25 attempt.
You have May 25, you're giving only group 1 or both groups?
I've cleared my group 2, so it's group 1.
Okay, so group 1 yet. Chalo, you're the safe one who doesn't have to study IBS now.
Yes.
So see, if you've finished FR already, and what is your target? Audit 15 tak ho jayega?
Yes, sir. Ho jayega.
So then pick up AFM from 16th to 20th and revise it in 4 days. उसमें से एक दिन पूरा थियोरी में जाएगा. स्टार्टअप फाइनेंस, सिक्योरिटाइजेशन, फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग एंड कॉर्पोरेट स्ट्रैटेजी, सिक्योरिटी एनालिसिस, एंड देयर इज वन मोर चैप्टर, रिस्क मैनेजमेंट. ये पांचों चैप्टर का थियोरी कर लेना. दैट विल टेक यू लाइक हाफ एन डे टू 1 डे. इन द बैलेंस 3 days, एक दिन पूरा जाएगा फॉरेक्स प्लस डेरिवेटिव्स के लिए. In 1 day, try to finish forex and derivatives. In the balance 2 days, you can easily manage equity, bonds, security, corporate valuations, and your portfolio management and mutual funds and mergers.
Advanced capital budgeting.
And advanced cap budgeting. Advanced cap budgeting side by side देखोगे तो portfolio के साथ भी थोड़ा बहुत हो जाएगा, क्योंकि थोड़े बहुत portfolio के भी concepts वहाँ पर आ जाते हैं, like standard deviation of NPV and all of that. So
Yes.
it is manageable, and if theory gets done earlier, say in like 3/4 day, you can start with cap budgeting on the balance part of the day.
Okay.
So in these 4 days, try to finish your AFM. From 21st to 23rd, do audit again एक बार. Last 3 days of audit ये कर लो, क्योंकि अभी 24th के बाद है ना, तुम सिर्फ FR करोगे. And FR में you can allocate your time to even solve consolidation, business combination, and financial instrument questions, because those will be lengthy questions.
Yes.
Even though you've studied it, it is better to give your last 6 days to a subject and do it in one full fledged. क्योंकि अब बाद में तुम इसके बाद सिर्फ AFM देखोगे और audit देखोगे during the exam 1.5 days. And when you're studying AFM and audit over here for 4 and 3 days, try to mark down LDR questions or LDR concepts here only, so that 1.5 दिन में you only have to do those questions. You don't have to waste your time towards other questions which you might possibly know. Clear?
Yes, sir.
ऐसा
Yes, sir.
करो तो it's very easy to finish it off. And 15 तारीख मतलब you are anyway still having 10 days for audit as of now. So 10 plus 3 days में audit आराम से हो जाएगा. Even your AFM, since you've done it, 4 दिन में revision आराम से हो जाएगा. 16, 17. It's actually 5 days if you start from 16. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Yes,
So
sir.
it is possible. And since audit you've just finished on 15th, 21st से 23rd, 3 दिन के अंदर you'll anyways be able to still revise it, क्योंकि it would still be fresh in your brains as memory. समझा?
So should I also do a paper solving on this time?
You can. I would recommend you to at least do 1-1-1 paper.
Okay.
क्योंकि क्या
Ma'am,
होगा, at the
if
last
you-
moment you'll at least realize whether you're getting stuck somewhere or not. That.
Okay. And I have also issues with AFM theory.
Okay.
Matlab, I'm not done with it completely as of now.
So AFM, like there are 4 chapters of theory which are dedicated chapters: securitization, startup, financial policy and corporate strategy, and then there is security analysis.
Yes.
And one more chapter of risk management. Risk management is the chapter of VAR. Security analysis is all that chapter which has those graphs and wedges and head and shoulders and all of that.
Yes.
And securitization, startup, financial policy is 3 separate chapters which are dealing with something else only. If you've seen the ICI paper pattern, there will always be a question on these 3 chapters, come what may. ये तीनों से एक theory आएगा ही आएगा. Because ICI has given it also weightage in its strategic weightage, which is on the ICI portal. So what you can do is you can do securitization, startup, and financial planning and policy on one day each. Don't do the entire theory together then. Do it on one day each with some practical chapters when you are revising. So क्या हो जाएगा? It will not become more of a burden and will not end up getting confused. Because if you would have seen startup, वहाँ पर एक modes of funding a startup भी है and sources of funding a startup भी है. Such answers you'll get more confused if you do it one after the other on the same day. उससे better है एक दिन एक startup कर लो, दूसरे दिन financial policy कर लो, तीसरे दिन ये securitization कर लो, fourth दिन financial planning security analysis हो जाएगा, and fifth day risk management का theory हो जाएगा. So anyways we have 5 days, so 1 day per theory subject will get allocated over.
Okay.
And your sum wala chapter will anyways continue simultaneously.
Yes.
Clear?
Yes.
Anyone has
So in
any
audit,
other? Yes.
in audit, is there something like important chapters which one should do or important essays?
Important essays में अगर मुझे पूछोगे तो it will be 240, going concern का 570, then you even have one standard relating to laws and regulations. If I'm not wrong, 220 है वो. 705, 706, your 800 series, your SRS series, your SRE series. ये minimum करना ही पड़ेगा, mandatory. Audit documentation might also come into picture, 550. या 530, sorry.
Okay.
So this is because these are standards जो कहीं ना कहीं किसी और में भी आ ही जाएंगे लिंक होके.
Okay.
And you'll have to do your professional ethics properly. P. तो 10 से 12 मार्क आ ही जाता है minimum. Either through MCQs or through questions नीचे.
Okay.
Cool. Anyone
Yes.
has any other doubts? Gokul Raj has raised his hand. Gokul Raj, you can unmute yourself and ask your doubt.
Yes, sir. Hi, sir. This is Gokul, sir. Sir, actually, I completed my group 1. Now I'm preparing for my group 2. I'm giving May 25. I completed DT and IDT, but for IBS, I don't know what to do for group 1 subject and all.
That is what I just told to one student. Like if it is group 1 subjects, take a compiler of any author who has given a compiler of all questions, like FR compiler, SFM compiler, and go through it once so that you'll at least know the question has come from which chapter. You might not necessarily be required to learn the entire chapter or learn the entire subject, but at least like if you've done group 1 in the past and clear हुआ, you would at least remember कि क्या करते थे वहाँ पर. You might not exactly remember what were the steps or anything like that, but you'll have some idea कि हाँ इसमें ऐसा करते थे, कंसोल में ऐसा कुछ बनाते थे, बिजनेस कॉम्बिनेशन में ऐसा कुछ करते थे, म्यूचुअल फंड्स के सम में ऐसा कुछ करते थे, मर्जर्स में ऐसा कुछ करते थे, ऑडिट में ऐसा कुछ तो पढ़ा था. So when you have the compiler, it will become easy for you when you see the question to find the question in that respective chapter. So the only strategy will be to buy a good compiler which has a compilation of all questions, which is like a what we say digest. कि मतलब वो सब question, सब concept cover कर ले, carry it to your exam, and before the exam go through each subject का compiler twice or thrice. 2-3 बार एक हर compiler देख लो ताकि तुमको at least पता चल जाए कि कहाँ पर क्या है. So that in the exam you can at least find it at the appropriate place. वरना ढूंढने में ही तुम्हारा इतना time चला जाएगा that your time to write the paper would have gone.
Sir, and then how to proceed with the question and how to select that question? I'm asking.
Select that question in which you're more confident with. क्योंकि you are currently giving group 2, try to attempt more of group 2 dominant questions like DT IDT जिसमें ज्यादा आता है वैसा क्वेश्चन करो, क्योंकि तुमने ग्रुप 2 के लिए अभी ऑलरेडी पढ़ाई की हुई है. So to find that also will be easy, plus you'll at least remember the concept a bit more clearer than what you did for group 1. क्योंकि ग्रुप 1 हो चुका है, अभी तक उतना एकदम क्रिस्टल क्लियर मेमोरी होगा नहीं होगा वी आर नॉट श्योर, बट ग्रुप 2 का तो एग्जाम ही दे रहे हैं, तो उसके सब्जेक्ट तो क्रिस्टल क्लियर याद होंगे ही होंगे. So the strategy then would be to select questions which are more group 2 dominant.
Okay.
जिसमें ग्रुप 2 के ज्यादा क्वेश्चन आए वैसे क्वेश्चन करो पहले, फिर then we at the end after finishing those questions अपने को अगर सिलेक्ट करने बचे ही है तो फिर ग्रुप 1 के ऐसे सिलेक्ट करो जिस सब्जेक्ट में तुम ज्यादा कॉन्फिडेंट थे. What subject were you more confident in, audit, AFM or FI?
I'm okay with AFM. Yes, AFM and audit. I'm okay.
AFM and audit you were confident, so then try to look for questions which are more AFM and audit dominant, or which have more marks of audit and AFM as compared to FR, and try to attempt it.
Yes, sir. So how to attempt the questions, sir? Is there any flow to find? For 1 mark, I don't have any problem, but related to that descriptive questions, where to I search how to attend the flow of questions, sir? If the question is there.
It's very, if you see, it depends again on a case to case basis and how the paper is. So अगर तुम suppose mark कर रहे हो अपने सब questions, what I would have done is I would have picked up all questions say from AFM. AFM के सब questions AFM का मॉड्यूल एक साथ खोल के ढूंढ लिए, फिर ऑडिट वाले ढूंढ के मार्क कर लिए, DT के ढूंढ के मार्क कर लिए, IDT के ढूंढ के मार्क कर लिए. I'll do my finding work at one go and then eventually go and solve all the questions. मैं एक सॉल्व करके दूसरा ढूंढूं, फिर वो सॉल्व करूं, तीसरा ढूंढूं. आई वुड हैव नॉट अडॉप्टेड दैट एज अ स्ट्रैटेजी. रादर पहले 10-15 मिनट में मैं सब क्वेश्चंस के आंसर्स ढूंढ लूंगा कि किधर क्या है, या उससे सिमिलर कोई क्वेश्चन है कि नहीं, एंड देन एट वन गो ट्राई टू सॉल्व ऑल द क्वेश्चन. दैट आई वुड थिंक वुड बी अ मोर बेटर अप्रोच, क्योंकि ढूंढने का काम नियरली कंप्लीट हो जाएगा ना फिर. देन यू ओनली हैव टू सिट एंड राइट. व्हेन यू कीप फाइंडिंग क्वेश्चंस आफ्टर एवरी क्वेश्चन, देन इट विल वेस्ट मोर टाइम as compared to having found all the questions at one go and kept it.
Okay. So is there any other tips in writing exam? Sometimes I don't got time to write. I'm unable to complete the paper itself. Is there any
Time management, you have to learn like if you are not wrong, your paper is for 240 minutes and it's a 100 marker question. You should ideally do each mark in 2.2 minutes.
Yes. Okay.
Not even 2.4, because when you do 2.2 minutes per marks के ratio के हिसाब से sum solving, will be finishing it in 220 minutes. और 10-15 मिनट तुमको वैसे ही बफर निकल जाएगा to find the question, where it was and how it was. Your average should be like 2.2 minutes or 2 minutes per mark, not more than that. उससे ज्यादा गया, stop the question there, move to the next question, and then eventually at the end come back over there.
Okay.
Because otherwise you'll end up leaving your paper. वैसा हो जाएगा. You'll not be able to complete it.
Okay.
And MCQs also will not be full theory. Those also you'll have to somewhere solve if you don't get it from the book. So that also will take time.
Okay. Sir, for DT and IDT, what's a better way to start with first MCQ or with descriptive? What is the best?
Start with the question which you are most confident with. It may be MCQ, it may be your normal descriptive paper का question. जो question सबसे ज़्यादा confident हो, start with that question at the very beginning. Because तभी तुमको याद रहेगा वो confident question हो, तुमको आता है, इससे तुम लिख पाओगे. If you start with a, say like if I say MCQs, और तुम MCQ start करते हो, but MCQ में you are not a bit sure, तो तुम जो confident question था ना, उसमें भी panic हो जाओगे. So start with the question you are most confident with. मुझे ये आता है, ये आता है, ये आता है, ये आता है, ये वाले questions पहले करो. Your MCQ should come somewhere between 3 to 330 if MCQs is not the first question which you're doing.
Okay.
अगर MCQs पहले करे तो वो तो हो गया, तो that is the most confident part, खत्म हो गया. अगर MCQs बाद में करने वाले हो तो don't keep it towards the very end also. 3-3.5 के बीच में MCQs cover कर ले that way.
Yes. So can you give any tips for 15 minutes? We are our reading time now. How to start with the first question?
Never read question number 1 at the first 15 minutes.
Okay.
Because that is a mandatory question you have to attempt.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
वो तो वापस लिखने भी आओगे तो you still have to read it. Rather, read all the other questions which are there, make your selection, and then come to question number 1 to read it.
Okay.
So make your process flow कि पहले मैं ये question करूँगा, फिर ये करूँगा, फिर third question will be this question, then fourth I will attempt this, fifth I will attempt this. Make that process and then come and read question 1 at the end.
Okay.
But in the 15 minutes, try to read that question also. I'm not saying don't read it, but उसको सबसे पहले नहीं पढ़ने. Maybe in some questions you'll read the last line only and know कि मुझे ये question आता है कि नहीं आता. There will also be those questions also. So try to identify such questions and then just make a rapid selection of what you'll attempt, where you'll attempt, and how you'll attempt.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Done. Now I see Pooja has raised her hand. Pooja, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Sumit, in the meanwhile, you can ask your questions till Pooja comes back on the call.
Sir, I have a query regarding income tax and GST, sir.
Okay.
सर जैसे मतलब प्रोविजन तो मेरे को ध्यान रहता है इनकम टैक्स में, बट जीएसटी में भी रहता है, लेकिन जब क्वेश्चन में अप्लाई करता हूँ तो सर मेरे को एक बार प्रोविजन देखना पड़ता है, ऐसा रिकॉल नहीं आता.
मतलब अगर बेयर एक्ट की लैंग्वेज में नहीं आता तो चलेगा, इट्स नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम. अगर तुम बेयर एक्ट का लैंग्वेज नहीं लिख रहे हो, अपने वर्ड में भी लिख दो, बट सेक्शन जो बोलते हैं वो लिखना, कुछ गलत मत लिख देना, वरना प्रॉब्लम क्या हो जाएगा कि जो लिखना था वो नहीं लिखा और जो नहीं लिखना था वो लिख लिया.
ओके. और सर एक और क्वेरी है सर कि जैसे लॉ में मेरा जैसे सेक्शन नंबर कभी मैं गलत कोट कर देता हूँ बाय चांस, तो मेरा पूरा ही गलत हो जाएगा या फिर
जीरो?
जीरो?
So if you are not sure about the section number, don't write.
ओके सर.
फिर वो अपन एग्जामिनर के मूड के ऊपर डिपेंड हो जाते हैं, गलत लिख दिया तो कि अभी मार्क्स देगा कि नहीं देगा. 99% वो लोग मार्क्स नहीं देते. Why to fall under that risk? सेक्शन नंबर नहीं लिखोगे तो आउट ऑफ 4 you'll maybe get 3, बट अगर रॉन्ग सेक्शन नंबर लिखोगे तो जो 3 मिलना था वो भी 0 हो जाएगा.
ओके सर. ओके.
So don't take that particular risk in the exam.
ओके सर. थैंक यू सर.
No problem. Yes, Pooja, now you can tell.
Yes, sir. Will you please repeat if DT something 50 marks what I was doing there? Question
Your voice
1
is a bit unclear. Can you talk a bit more audibly?
Hello.
Yes, now I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Can you repeat of DT? Something you wrote 50 marks because I joined late.
No, I was just solving all the doubts which the students were having. And this is what they were generally saying about DT or AFM or FR or something like that.
Yes, sir. Mine is only 2 subjects, DT, IBT, 50 marks minimum. Statistics exemption.
Okay.
So, IBT and DT, can you guide me on how, like, main topics of that to secure 50? It's because it's a problem to even secure 50.
DT ke liye I told that these chapters you will have to minimum do, like your total income, TDS, advanced tax, tonnage taxation, NR taxation, DTAA, transfer pricing and assessment proceeding, जिसके बगैर आप एग्जाम नहीं जा सकते क्योंकि इधर से क्वेश्चन आने ही आने. So you will have to do these chapters bare minimum. And for IDT also you'll have to do your exemptions list, you'll have to do your valuation procedures, you'll have to do customs पूरा, you'll have to do FTB पूरा क्योंकि वो 25 मार्क आएगा. GST exemption, GST services, GST valuation, point of taxation rules and all of that you'll have to still do. ये बेसिक मिनिमम जो है ना वो आपको कुछ भी करके करना ही पड़ेगा. Like your what do you say, e-way supply credit है, e-way bills है, GST audits है, GST, GSTR 1, 3B, all those forms which are there, which are procedural chapters, but those do come in the exam. तो तुमको वो करके जाना पड़ेगा. GST input tax credit है, वो करना पड़ेगा.
Okay.
So these are like chapters जो आपको minimum करना पड़ेगा. And in technical chapters like your GSTR 3, GSTR audits and all of that, you will have to learn the deadlines and everything. क्योंकि उधर कुछ ऊपर नीचे हो गया तो पूरा 0 हो जाएगा. But बराबर लिख दिया तो you'll get your full marks over there.
Okay.
Clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any student has any other doubts? Or should we wrap up for the day? I think no one has any doubts at the moment. So Mayur, Back to you. Back to Pavilion.
Thank you. Guys, once more, I'm asking you if anybody has any questions. He's still here. You can get them here. And if
हाँ,
not,
इसके बाद ये मौका नहीं मिलेगा बाद में.
ये महीने में तो बिल्कुल नहीं मिलेगा.
नेक्स्ट डाउट लेक्चर कब
Yes,
होगा?
ऋषिका. वो आपको
it will be
पड़ेगा.
next month.
सर
Next
नेक्स्ट
month,
डाउट
Rishika.
लेक्चर कब होगा?
Every
मतलब
month
extend
for
हो गई
all
है.
the mentor only students. So next
Next
month
month.
it will happen. But yes, I am giving you one more
Okay.
update. Once the questions are done, there is one more update, small update for all of you, which has a bigger impact, obviously. So in the next week, that is there. But yes, there was a question, sir, from Hema, I believe, in the chat box.
Sir, I must say, correct. This was this inter student who we forgot only. Bichara, she stayed till the end and we ignored her. I'm a CA inter student going to write both groups in September. Is 5 months sufficient to clear CA inter groups from scratch? 5 months is more than enough to get a rank. Pass तो दूर की बात है, rank आ सकता है 5 महीने.
So you can tell them your story, how you got an All India rank, how many months you have studied.
That was ICI's mistake, if you ask me very bluntly. But to be very honest with you all, I only had 2.5 months to do 8 subjects in my CA final. I had to manage not more than in 6 days or 7 days do a subject. Some days used to be bad, some days used to be good. Some days you had to have stress going on कि नहीं करना, अभी छोड़ दो. बाकी किसी दिन अच्छा टॉपिक होता था, चलो अभी मैं और 3 घंटे पढ़ लेता हूँ. So it used to be a mixed balance of it. But eventually, all in all, it was a very good journey. It is achievable. So when someone tells me ना 2.5 months से ज़्यादा टाइम, आराम से रैंक आ सकता है. But 2.5 months में अगर मैं रैंक निकाल सकता हूँ तो तुम्हारे पास 5 महीने तो बहुत है. So even if you plan like say 10 days for each subject or 12 days for each subject, you will easily be able to do your subjects. You'll have ample time for your revision. Plus test papers भी लिख पाओगे. And writing practice is a must. तुम लिखना मत छोड़ना अपना पेपर, बिकॉज अगर तुम इधर नहीं लिखोगे ना, योर आईसीआई एग्जाम विल बिकम अ मॉक एग्जाम फॉर यू. और फिर वो मॉक एग्जाम को फाइनल एग्जाम में बदलने के लिए तुमको वापस आईसीआई का दूसरा अटेम्प्ट देना पड़ेगा. सो व्हेन यू आर स्टडिंग, develop a pattern and habit of writing your papers. Like if you ask me, I would do say accounts for 10 to 12 days. Then I would do costing over 10 days. Tax, because there is DT plus IDT, I would give say like 15 to 16 days to this subject. There is financial management, उसको मैं शायद तक 8 या 10 दिन दूंगा. So basis your audit है, audit I would give more like 12 days, 10 to 12 days, because it's a theory subject. और तुमने लाइफ में इसके पहले audit कभी पढ़ा नहीं हो. It's a relatively new subject for an inter student. So I would allocate my time in such a manner, so that मेरा 3 महीने में एटलीस्ट सिलेबस एक बार कंप्लीट हो जाए. I'll plan it to finish my syllabus in 3 months, and then in the next 2 months that I left, I'll do test papers, I'll do mock tests, I'll do revisions of my lectures, I'll mark down questions where I was getting stuck and solve those questions again and again. Prepare a formula sheet for subjects like FM. कि भाई ये फॉर्मूला क्या है. लर्न फॉर्मेट्स फॉर चैप्टर्स लाइक अकाउंट, जहाँ पर तुमको लिक्विडेशन है, पार्टनरशिप अकाउंट्स है, उनके फॉर्मेट्स में लर्न कर लेता, ताकि आई डोंट गेट स्टक. So this is the approach which you can adopt. Even if you start from 10th April, it is enough and ample time. So don't think कि मेरे को 6 अप्रैल का हो गया तो मुझे आज ही चालू करना है. 10 अप्रैल से भी करोगे, there is ample time. हाँ, प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट मत करना, क्योंकि फिर वो प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट होते 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 दिसंबर आ जाएगा. And then it will be a task. Clear, हेमा? हिमा है कॉल में कि हिमा चली गई डाउट पूछ के? फिर
नहीं, she is there. She has asked one more question. So
हाँ, वही वाला, प्लीज गाइड मी ऑन हाउ टू डू माय स्टडी प्लान. दैट इज व्हाट आई वाज टेलिंग हर. एनी मोर डाउट्स हेमा? नो, चलो. एनीवन एल्स हैज एनी अदर डाउट्स? यू आर ऑलवेज वेलकम.
I don't think so. There are more doubts.
You were coming up with some surprise. I think that was the
Yes, yes. So basically, it's not a surprise, but as I said at the start, guys, most of you know that how Prepca is currently helping CA students, right? So currently, we are India's leading CA preparation platform with India's first one-on-one mentoring platform for CA students, where we have CAs like Ankit sir, we have CAs who can help CA students. We have experienced chartered accountants with us who are helping CA students one-on-one with an video call mentoring session. And this session is also one of them. But guys, yes, with one-on-one mentoring session, we have added group mentoring sessions for all the mentor me students as well. So those who are in the mentor me platform, those who are enrolled with us, guys, exclusively we are coming up with your mentoring sessions, which are group mentoring sessions. You have your experienced chartered accountant with you for one-on-one sessions, but we will be coming up with group mentoring session in the next week. So mark your dates on next Sunday. I think the date is 13th April, if I'm not wrong. So on 13th April, guys, we are having your group mentoring session where, yes, our very own, our All India ranker, our Ankit sir will be taking this group mentoring session for all of you. And guys, it will have a very interesting topic. So this session will be dependent on a topic that will definitely going to help you prepare well for your CA preparation. Okay. So every month we'll be having one doubt solving session and we'll be having one group mentoring session for all of you. And others, those who are enrolled with us, you will have your one-on-one mentoring sessions scheduled as well. So this is how your preparation is going to be from now on. So you'll have two sessions, one doubt solving, one group mentoring, and your one-on-one mentoring sessions with your mentor will be obviously there. And this is how we are pretty sure that you are going to clear your C exam. And I believe aaj ko jo session tha, not because I am working with this team Prepca or I know Ankit sir, but sir, this session was really bomb. We had students who had questions, but the way you asked certain situation based questions, that was brilliant. I believe while these people go for their exams, if they remember this is definitely going to help them. And obviously guys, you have 1 month, so whatever doubts you get in this 1 month, kindly note it down, keep it with you so that you can shoot them to Ankit sir and he'll handle them properly and precisely. Okay. So this time to say goodbye to all of you and to Ankit sir. Once again, thank you so much. I always say this in every session that we have done some good karma pehle time mein, that we have you onboarded with us and helped CA students, and all these students might have done something good that they get your help for these sessions. So thank you so much. Thank you for this session, and we'll see you guys again on 13th of April with the group mentoring session. Sir, I think you're on mute.
I was saying same time, same place.
Yes, same place at 11 a.m. Take care, guys. Happy weekend.
And have a nice weekend. Have a studyful weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.